Time I met Green Bay Packer Travis Williams, Part 2, the conclusion. So let's go. Travis Williams, nickname, Roadrunner, position, running back, kick and punt return specialist. NFL debut 1967. As a Green Bay Packer rookie, Travis didn't see any action in his first 6 games. Why? Because he was in Coach Vince Lombardi's doghouse for fumbling in a preseason game. So Coach Lombardi made Travis carry a football around the facility everywhere he went. If you're a rookie, some coaches might accept a fumble in a preseason game. Not the Pope of Green Bay. Travis finally got his chance during Week 7. Packers were trailing in the fourth quarter when Coach Lombardi finally puts Travis in the game. Travis took the kickoff 93 yards up the middle for a touchdown, sparking a come-from-behind victory. 2 weeks later, he took back 2 kickoffs for touchdowns. Both returns were over 80 yards, and both were in the first quarter. Nobody had ever returned 2 kickoffs for touchdowns in the same quarter before or since. Come Week 13, he takes the kickoff 4 yards deep in the end zone and returns it for a touchdown. Not a bad way to end the regular season, after the rookie had a rough start. Travis Williams set a few NFL records. Returned 4 kickoffs for touchdowns in one season. Set the NFL single-season record for kickoff return average with 41 yards plus per return. That record still stands today. His 2 kickoffs returned for touchdowns in one game has been done by 9 players, but Travis is the only one to do it in the same quarter. He still holds a few Packer records, and for his NFL career, he averaged 16 yards per punt return and 27 yards per kick. Born in Arkansas, but raised in San Francisco Bay Area in a city called Richmond. These photos I'm showing are from a Bruce Jenner Classic track meet, 1982 and 1981. I've went to a few of those. Took photos only at this one. I have a couple of programs from those Bruce Jenner Classics. I believe this is Edwin Moses here. Great shot of him. He signed the program for me. That's why I'm kind of remembering this is Edwin Moses. I have the program around somewhere, just can't find it. And there's me with some youths that I had to ask for change so I could buy a newspaper to see if I was in it from a couple days before. I just got off a track meet. As you can see, I've got my track gear on. And as you see, I'm a very dramatic winner. Why am I showing you track pictures? Well, standing 6'1", weighing 215 pounds, the first time Travis carried a football was at Contra Costa Junior College, where he was clocked at 9.3 in the 100-yard dash. That's real fast for a big man. He spent 2 years at Arizona State and was the 4th-round pick of the Green Bay Packers at the insistence of Coach Lombardi. That's why I showed track pictures, because Travis was a track star. Travis played 4 seasons with Green Bay, and his only real big game as a running back came in the 1967 playoff game in Milwaukee against the Rams and their fearsome foursome. In a 28-7 upset victory, Travis scored 2 touchdowns as a running back, and the Packers scored 28 unanswered points. They say one of the greatest games ever played at City Stadium. And when the gun sounded, ending the game, a sea of cheering people poured onto the field. Hundreds and hundreds of Packer fans surrounding Travis, lifting him up onto their shoulders and carrying him off the field. If that happens once in your life as a player, you're lucky. There's awesome footage of this on the web if you can find it. A few weeks later, as the Packers won the Super Bowl for the 3rd straight year, and until this day remained the only team to do that, that's a nice way to finish your rookie season. But Travis Williams couldn't replicate that rookie season, and except for his return skills, the next 3 seasons would be uneventful. And was traded to the Rams in 1971, his last season playing. He did lead the NFL in kick returns that year with a 29-yard average, and he took one back 105 yards. It would be his last hurrah. Travis hurt his knee in a 1972 preseason game that required surgery. He would try to make a comeback, but he was done, and he knew it was time to retire. Yep, he was only 26. Travis had no real plan for life after football, just some business ideas. Spent a lot of his money on cars and travel, and by 1977 he had 8 kids, a wife, and was in financial ruin. One by one, he sold his cars, all 5 of them, but it was too late. He couldn't pay his mortgage, and the family was evicted from the house that he said he could have paid for cash when he bought it. Lack of financial guidance and decisions made on alcohol usually don't turn out well, and it didn't turn out well for Travis. The family would move across the bay to San Francisco for a fresh start into one of the worst parts of San Francisco, Hunters Point. In the old days, a toxic dump site for the Navy. He'd work a series of increasingly worse and worse jobs. Then in 1979, he caught his wife cheating. Travis beat the guy up and was in county jail for a year. Soon after, his wife was sent to prison for killing a guy while she was driving drunk. She would later overdose and die in 1985. Then Travis Williams' mom, who was taking care of some of his kids, well, she died during a much needed surgery that Travis told her to get. His sister came to live with him and help raise his kids, some of his kids. But then a few months later, she died. Not long after that, his best friend died, all within a year, all pretty much drink related. And of course, Travis was drinking more and more the whole time and would end up losing his kids and somehow ended up in Washington, D.C., homeless for a couple of years. He got arrested at a rally in D.C. for protesting cuts to public housing. This put him back in the news for a minute, and his kids found him and tried to convince him to come back home. But he wouldn't, and said he didn't want to burden them. In that news clip I saw from Travis in 1988, he's homeless and is not wearing any shoelaces because his feet are so swollen, and he's missing a bunch of teeth. He was talking about how after his knee surgery in 1972, when he was trying to make a comeback at the Rams training camp, he said, "On the sweep, every time I turned the corner, 2 out of 3 times I would fall down. I would literally fall down turning the corner. My knee is strong. I can lift the weights, but I just couldn't turn the corner." It's a hard watch because you could see in his eyes the way he paused in between the last few words that he still could not believe the way it ended. It's almost like it still hadn't sunk in until right then, in a moment of clarity. You know, I'll tell you what, it's one thing to see your hero sitting in his lazy boy chair by the fireplace, reminiscing about the game and how in his mind he wasn't ready to retire yet, but knew it was time. But it's another thing to see your hero on the streets of the nation's capital, homeless, still trying to process what the hell happened. Travis finally started to get it together at the end of 1988 and was back home in Richmond where his kids were. He was working security at a liquor store and living in a soup kitchen that he volunteered at. But it didn't last, and Travis Williams would pass away in 1991 of heart failure, 2 days after being admitted to hospital. All he had was a dollar bill hidden in his shoe. He was 45 years old. I really don't want to end Travis's show on a downer, especially because he was so nice to me. So I want to say thanks to Travis Williams for taking the time and being so generous to this little kid. This photo was on my wall for years, almost everywhere I lived, and is now proudly displayed on the front of my Packers binder. So just like my dad would do, I want to pay my respects to Travis Williams and his family. I'm pretty good at finding silver linings, so to bring up the mood, let's head over to Lambeau Field, formerly known as County Stadium. The year is 1997 and it's Travis Williams Day, and some of Travis's children are at his Green Bay Packers Hall of Fame induction ceremony. It was there, on that day, that Travis's kids got the chance to see how much their dad was loved and how much he was appreciated by his Packer teammates and the Green Bay fans a quarter century after last playing for the team. That must have made his kids feel real good. The time I met Green Bay Packer Travis Williams.